we continue to rise and give praises to the great God Allah and honors to our holy prophet for allowing us to come forth with these special marriage laws, and everything it is that will make us a nation, because this is where the true structure of the family begins. So having this special insight and knowing that we can build from this level of love, where else would we rather be, other than this special Moorish American government where we can build families, in true love, build family, based upon the principles in regards to dealing with the action. This is a grand hajj, family. And as we said in our previous class, we were saying that we have to basically meet in our own divinity. And if we can meet in our own divinity, meaning being one with the great God and so forth and so on, then we are most definitely ready to demonstrate love divine when it comes to that bond between the God man and the God woman. And if not us bringing these special laws into the manifest, then who? Who else is out there on the manifest to bring our people into this clear conception, of this work that we've been called to do? Who else out there that can join two souls if it ain't the great God Allah working through us? Because that's what it really boiled down to, and we want to just say Islam to all of those who have took that special journey within, all of those who have truly become one, and so all is well. Hold up, let me see here. I think somebody say our family can't hear me on the call. Islam, can you hear me, family? Can the Moors hear me out there?
We can hear you now on the conference call, Islam.
Okay, Islam. I don't know how that thing went blank on me there. Okay, Islam. Gratitude. So yeah, we again, Islam, gratitude. And so again, we continue to rise again in love. Like I said, this is where we can actually come into the Moorish American government and experience that love divine, that unity between the Ish and Isha that is within us. And we actually have sent out the chapters too. I don't know if our Moorish kin went back into the chapters that we have, and the chairman gave a grand breakdown, what it has to do with when it comes to dealing with the marriage laws within the nation. And the main thing is that he spoke of in the very beginning of this special measure, how the prophet taught to season, the hearts and minds, so to speak, with the maximums of truth. So this is not just something that's dealing with the seeds, the young seeds. This is something that actually deal with those who are children of the great God Allah, period. You see? So whether we may think that because we gave birth to a particular son and daughter that they belong to us, in all actuality, all of us, including them, are children of the great God Allah. You see? And so, yeah, there's like the chairman Omar, he said, there's a biological duty of a good parent to teach their children the divine and natural results of freedom. You see? He spoke of the procreative powers that we have, to furnish the progenies with the body of flesh, that they may function indigenously upon the earth. This is the instruction that we are given. Not that merely we be a ball of flesh, so to speak, but that we may be able to be that love that our Grand National Secretary of the State was just demonstrating about. You see? And so once we are able to go there, then the great God, as our chairman told us, he made all children in a living entity by breathing into them the infinite spirit from which to live and a soul which to think. So the actions of our soul has to do with our thinking, and the spirit is the animated agent, so to speak, that pretty much prompts the grand thoughts, the love thoughts from on high. And so For those who are out there seeing this in social media, you can actually see what it is that our Grand National Chairman has brought forth, and we give honor to our Grand National Secretary of the State, for bringing forth the measure she brought forth in the beginning, minus doubt or contradiction. So outside of this government, no marriage is basically valid, so to speak. So this is why we have our own customs, because all of the European customs, especially when they was dealing with the so-called black codes or the Code Noir of 1685, you better not get caught talking about being married outside of, Rome. You see? So the key is, again, recognizing that the example has been given from the beginning of time in ancient Kemet, and even understanding that, let's look at Asa and Auset, for example. How many of our people knew that Asa and Auset, though being husband and wife, from the spiritual standpoint, they were spiritual brothers and sisters. We ain't talking about blood brothers and sisters per se, you see, but spirit, blood, not being related, but spirit brothers and sisters, you see. And so when you look at it from that standpoint there, you can see that a special bond that was between them, because they were the seed of Ra from a higher expression, or they were the seed of Neter. And this is actually the same vibration that we are coming from. The love, makes those who are together one. How many of our people ever seen two people come together and they are so close that people think that they the mannerism they pass between each other is almost like as if they are brothers and sisters. You see? Now we ain't talking about no incest and none of that type of demonstration there, but we are saying, once the characters, that's the thing about it. When two people are bonded, their ways become mended. I'm pretty sure, any of y'all that know what I'm talking about know that y'all come so close to your better half, so to speak, that you express certain things as the way they express it. You may even feel that way when you are expressing, a particular portion of yourself, and they may feel the same thing. All of y'all know what I'm talking about. It's a certain feeling when two souls have come together in twain and oneness. And this is why we talk about the twin flame. But as long as we understand that we are children of the great God, then we got room for growth too, right? So when you get into understanding, these maximum of truth, and let's look at it, just like we have a duty to support all that we produce, the great God Allah didn't necessarily have a duty, but he most definitely sustained us as our cherisher and gave us everything it is, that a father would give to his seed. You see, everything that a mother, would give to the seed, because we know we don't get caught up in gender when we talk about spirit in all actuality. Although when we come into the manifest, we see the necessary expression from that drawing, but the spirit itself don't have a gender. But it does, use in a special drawing in our Moorish Holy Quran, where it talks about the mother of virtues and the harmonies of life, the husbandman, and all of these are higher degrees than some mere man or mere woman. In fact, that's why you hear us talking about Ish and Isha in reference to dealing with being more God than a mere man. More God is for our sisters than a mere woman. You see? So you're on a whole nother level when you're dealing with it from that aspect. So also it says, upon thee also depended whether the child of thy bosom be a blessing or a curse to thyself, and useful and worthless member of community. Prepare one, early with instructions, and season the mind with the maxims of the truth, and all is well. And that's the key. Just like the great God Allah has seasoned our minds with holy instructions, with divine teachings from a divine creed, then we must do the same thing, right? This is where our redemption comes from. This is where we are on the front line, basically, to even start the true progress in building a family. It all comes from how well we have been taught, because you can't give somebody something that you don't have. If you never knew, true love from the standpoint of dealing with family, then it's going to be real hard for you to build family. So that too is something that is a talent that one must learn. Some people just got it to be able to teach and raise up the young seeds and so forth. And some people just don't have it, but they have to learn it. Some have to learn it as a result of going through many trials in life. Praise be to Allah, we have these lessons in front of us right now. And we don't have a brother standing out front with a sister sitting down, and just can't do nothing because she got to do what's it. No, this is what we call co-regency. That's the teaching of ancient Kemet, co-regency. Look that up. Where the God man is right there on the throne. What a God woman is on the throne. So they are both there together, teaching their people, uplifting their nation, and so forth and so on. All this is based upon love and divinity, love divine. But it goes back to the character, the building of the character. And if we are able to build a character properly, then what else will we produce? We become a model. Every Moorish American Muslim, when you deal with what they like to call a power couple, so to speak, this should be the example of whatever community that ones may be in. The whole community should be able to bear witness, to true divine union. They should be inspired every time they see you all. See, we can go on and on about this in special measure, but we know slaves don't know nothing about that. Our chairman went further too. He went to talking about race pride in this handout. He said, what is race pride? It says the reason Moorish Americans have not proclaimed themselves as a pure nation is because they have very little understanding about having race pride. And we see this. Y'all seen it. Y'all seen in the last couple of weeks, how we've been going back and forth with our people who don't even want to embrace the name more. So we know they basically have a problem, or they don't have race pride. Not from this extent, at least. So it says, Drew Ali taught the Asiatics, if you have race pride and love your race, come and join the Moorish Science Temple, and you will have power to redeem your race. So, we say now, if you have race pride and you love your race, come and proclaim yourself before the government in which you live. The writing of this manuscript is uplifting evidence of one Moorish American author who has been empowered with the infinite wisdom to redeem his race, beginning with the connections in the Moorish Science Temple of America, founded to be a religious civic organization. The MST of A was meticulously designed to teach Negroes, blacks, and colored people, NBC, how to be free Moorish Americans. They must be taught things other than what they have learned from the traumas of U.S. slavery. Prior to the advent of Noble Drew Ali, no NBC had a true source of freedom to teach, neither themselves nor their children. With the exceptions of the MST of A, it says there have been many religious, social, political groups formed by the NBC from 1900 to 2018, but they all have taught them to remain NBC. Black people measure progress by lesser degrees of what displeases their slaveholder, misnomer the white man. Little did they comprehend the very names of NBC were a denationalization process to enslave Moorish descendants from the shores of West Africa. There's a certain unsung and natural freedom found in one's true nationality. A nation is made of many families of descendant kindred Yet they all bear the same free national name: Nigerian, Japanese, Mexican, American, etc. Each nation has but one free national name, and it usually carries the descent name and lineage of their forefathers. This is so humans can trace the lineage of themselves and express the freedom found in his or her genealogy. The Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali called this natural state of freedom race pride. True freedom is when the true natural course of life to be themselves is lived, e.g., when fish swim, birds fly, beasts roam the earth and land, and when man believes, knows, then becomes like unto the one great God who created him. True freedom is natural liberty. So we'll stop right there with that reading. So this is a powerful measure. We know that property can't have race pride. We know that a slave can't have race pride. You got to be a flesh and born living being, so to speak, to really demonstrate the heights of that divinity. So, I mean, it's a powerful drawing, family. It don't get no plainer than this. We just have to learn how to embrace everything it is that we represent. We want to give honors to our family that's checking in. Brother Bay Brothers, Keys, and our sister Cena Renee. Apartments there. We give honors to all of you. So that's the key. We just have to come together as a people and really demonstrate the family unit. That's what's going to really build us up as a nation. That's going to build us up and make us that nation that the whole world been waiting on. When we start at that special level, because that's how one is to demonstrate. Be useful to yourself, your family, your nation, and then your community as a whole, pardon self. And so once you're able to be useful to yourself and can better aid or assist those who are with you, better aid and aid and assist, just everybody by being who we are. It's all a part of the Moorish paradigm, family, to live the life of being Moorish American Muslim and demonstrating that pride, as being Asiatic, so to speak, but yet elevating to the firm degree of being a Muslim. Because, though Asiatic has to do with having race pride, being that Muslim, takes us to a whole nother level, because this is that will. This is that golden cord of love. Like I say, if not us, then who gonna demonstrate this to us? We got a lot of work to do. A lot of work cut out for us, so to speak, right? Want to give honors to our sister Dulcinea as well. Islam and Islamism, to all of our Moorish kin and everybody out there. We're going to drop the link down there too for our Moorish kin that want to come in. Any of y'all, Sister Dulcinea and, our other family as well that would like to demonstrate, on this particular measure. But like I said, the family structure begins with the holy and most matrimonial hajj. But we have to take that journey within, and that goes for our brothers and sisters before we can truly be successful and before we can truly live this life that we call love. And so the main key is that this structure, according to slavery, has been broken, for some time. And our people haven't really found true peace, in their relationships, and, they haven't found oneness, and being content, not on the Rome law, because Rome won't let you do that right there. You see, one may put the semblance out there, what I like to call a marriage of convenience and so forth and so on. But if you have not yet embraced what it means to truly have that bond under your own nation, then you're just playing with yourself. That's just being straightforward. And this is what we are striving to unfold, into all of us here in this Moorish American government. Man, it's so much that we have to offer to our people. that we have to offer to fallen humanity in general, because this message is not loan, you know, to us, so to speak. You know, this message is ours. We didn't get this on no leasing and none of that. You see, and nor is it limited to us, because we have a job to go out there and teach the whole of the world. If not us again, then who? I keep asking that question because, you know, we see during the time of slavery so many families that were torn apart. And they do the same thing now. They just up the ante and change it into something else. Yeah, so we in a state of emergency. I'm gonna keep saying that, because when I say that, that make our people understand the urgency that we are in now. We have a great need to come together in unity. We have a great need to be the example for the young and not yet born and all of those who are coming behind us. This is a must. You know how the Prophet Noble Drew Ali have must in our divine constitution? It's a must, family. You know, this ain't something that you can just put off, you know, because they taking our people off the count daily. So once you can establish this foundation, then you can go about building what we call family businesses. Yeah, you can go into building those things that will sustain a nation, utilizing our talents and pooling our mental resources to come together in oneness and get the job done. No Moorish American left behind. No more stagnation. So, I mean, it's simple. It don't take rocket science to figure out what we're talking about here. But like I say, you can't blame our people for what they don't know, because Prophet Noble Drew Ali said he forgave the Moors for everything they did. That's what he said now. He said he forgave the Moors for everything that they did before he came. So I like also the chairman put a measure out here, and y'all heard me talking about intellectual polygamy, you know, but on another level, meaning that we see that there's a great need for us to educate, you know, our family as a whole. You know, there's a great need for this. But he gave a 2020 year projection dealing with the further understanding the need for what we call polygamy. You know, and he was talking about, you know, the criminal justice system, you know, sentencing guidelines and everything else. You know, convictions, all of these things are basically meant to set us back as a people, you know, and make sure that we stay under somebody else's oppression. I remember seeing that word, because the chairman got that up in here too, ethnic cleansing. A lot of people don't know ethnic cleansing is basically the wiping out of a people. First time they really used this, you know, on a grand scale was dealing with Hitler. But there's another word that's mentioned that is called infanticide. You know, and this is actually dealing with the killing, you know, of the young seeds, the killing of babies. And you don't have to physically bring harm to the babies by killing them. You can put them in a conducive, non-conducive environment that is not based upon that which will sustain them. And this is establishing a process of ethnic cleansing. You see? Now, if we were to look at this on the flip side and look at the fact that Prophet Noble Drew Ali told us to keep our hearts and minds pure with love and our bodies clean with water, then we can see the divinity, you know, of cleansing, you know, one's people. I mean, it don't get no plainer than that. You see? If you're looking at it from a high state of vibration. But we know that's not the way that they mean it. They want to get rid of our people. You know, a lot of those who feel that we just here taking up space, we in the way. That's how the world has been looking at our people. Nothing can be further from the truth. You know, We all know you can't kill the goose that laid the golden egg and expect to be able to sustain yourself. So we ain't worried about none of that either. This is our time, Moors. We are here to get the job done. This is a new era in time. So we got to go into the self. We got to study the self. And once we reach a level to where we can see that we are penetrating the hearts and minds of our people, they'll become masters of the self and so forth and so on. And all is well. But love is key. Love is the golden cord again that binds us. And this is what all of us are striving to be able to demonstrate. Again, you can't give what you don't have. You can't teach, what you don't know. But yet and still, all of these things that have to do with the higher self are in us, just as well as those things that bring us down into the manifest of the lower self. You see? Man, I just want to say gratitude for being able to be here, and bring our people to a level where we can actually direct the course back to divinity, away from being somebody else's property or pushover and so forth and so on. We are here to lead the nation. We are here to guide the nation and constantly uplift the nation, so to speak, by seeing our example, because that's another thing too. Once we reach a certain level or degree of unfoldment, all of our teaching come from our action. We don't even have to say a whole lot. Praise be to Allah. Islamism without the schism. So once you have brought these lessons to your family, all your duty is, all your obligation is after that time is to continue to stand and be upright, independent, and fearless. That's just plain as it gets. You see? Ain't nothing else making man but free nationals, standards, principles, and power, is what will make a true man and a woman. Again, this is at the foundation of the exhuming of a nation, the foundation of the building of a nation. We can go on and on and on, right? So what I'm going to do at this particular time, because I can go over and over and over again about this measure, but we're going to open up the floor a little earlier so that we can hear from our Moorish kin and what they have to say. And again, we give honors to our Grand National Secretary of the State for uplifting us and teaching us and guiding us, and more of all, being the example. So we better get this wisdom, family. Islam. So I'm going to ask our family to *6 the phone. That way, one's able to demonstrate their measure comfortably without feeling they have to be rushed or whatever the case may be. So Islam, *6 your phone, Moorish kin, and give us your grand draw. Islam. Islam. Who's speaking? Islam. I heard somebody say something. I know good and well we ain't got.
Can you hear me more?
I can hear you now. I'm finna say I know good and well we ain't got no crookeds in here.
No, we ain't got no crickets up in here, but the prophet did tell us, he said we ain't gonna even touch them either. You know what I mean? Because the chief of the sword of Allah, you know what I mean, to vibrate. So we give praise to Allah for the love they manifest. We want to rise, giving all praises to the great God Allah, the only one that is worthy of worship, adoration, thanksgiving, and praise. We'd like to give high honors to our prophet Noble Ali, El Hashim Abdul Ali. Give honors to our Moorish American government, our officials, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and most especially our citizens. Islam. Yeah, more so, you're talking about the oneness. We talking about the one, listening to the class, Dr. Hassesu, the Grand National Secretary of State brought forth a grand demonstration, and you came right in with the 360 of that demonstration, bringing forth. And I couldn't help but think of, us as far as the unfoldment of us as in our God consciousness, our God state, and functioning on the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice through our actions, our words, and our deeds. You say, you say we dealt a lot with the tools of the workshop of the mind. The grand, again, the grand, much honor to the Grand National Secretary of State, for bringing those measures forth and keeping us ever mindful of the things that we can utilize this as tools to help build and grow us up. Speaking of those tools, the hammer of truth is my favorite tool. Where we pound that truth in until it becomes a part of every part. What is truth? Truth is art. Art is Allah. So we're still dealing with that love made manifest because Allah is love. And, us knowing that Allah made us, we know that we have to manifest the love of Allah through our actions, our words, and our deeds. So it's been a really good class, and man, we got double the action because we got the Grand National Secretary, and then the Grand National Assistant, Grand Sheikh. Man, you did a monumental demonstration of bringing forth, that oneness of us and the Creator. That is, in my conclusion, I like to say, leave with the prophets, with the divine instructions from our holy prophet, where it states, the resurrection is the fact when Allah, when man realizes that he and Allah are one, then that resurrection becomes a fact. So much gratitude for allowing me to speak on this Moorish perspective. Gratitude again. Peace.
Islam, and gratitude and peace to you as well. Resurrection, reassure action. Reassure yourself of the action. Islam, grand man, we give honors to you. Reassurance of action. Resurrection. All right, is there any other more who would like to come forward and give their drawing? All are welcome.
Islam.
Islamism.
Gratitude. This is Dr. Marvin Elvis Bay out of the Texas Consulate. Rising, giving all praises to the great God Allah. Giving highest honors to his prophet, our prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali. Give high honors to our theocratic government, our Moorish American government. Give high honors to our Act 1. I give high honors to all of our officials. I give high honors to this class, our Moorish Prospectus class. As well as I give honors to you, Dr. Shedu Mintia Mohej Sepsuel, our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America. As well as I give honors to the Secretary of the State, Dr. Hisepsu Tutankhamun Bay, for standing in at the beginning of the class. And as well as I give honor to all those that aided in bringing forth these classes this evening. Give honor to everything that is Moorish. Our flag, our divine constitution, our holy Quran, our book of Ali, our 101, 102, the exhuming of a nation. All of our divine revelations I give honor. Give honor to the forerunner, Dr. Marcus Mose El, as well as I give honor to the ancestors, whose shoulders we stand upon. We are the return of the ancient ones. Very powerful class. And there can you refresh me on the topic, because I was going in between two?
Well, basically we came from the chapter itself because there's so much we can cover throughout the ayats. We just wanted to go into dealing with the marriage laws, of Moorish America, so to speak. But I don't know if you got that handout in our last session, but it included all of that, chapter 44 and 45.
Right. Yeah.
Islam,
gratitude. Yeah, I did get that, and I guess I filed it away, something like that. But actually, I can let me locate that, and I'll let someone else come on who's already prepared with that. Islam?
Okay, Islam, grand man, we give honors to you. Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
All right, Islam, Moors. Y'all heard our brother.
Islam.
Islam, Sister Curtis Bay.
Islam. Dr. Dendra Nia Kurt Bay, calling from the South Carolina Counseling. First, let me rise and give praises to our great God Allah. I give honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I give honors to Act One. I give honors to all my government officials, and I give honors to you, National Assistant Grand Sheik, and to my National Grand Secretary of State. How y'all just tying in together, just blending in together. This is such a powerful class, and I concur with my Moorish kin who has spoken before me. And what I would like to add, and when I was just sitting here listening to, because like you say, we are coming from our chapter talking about the marriage laws and things of that nature. And but the National Grand Secretary of State, she had put some some words for us to ponder right before you came in, and I if I remember correctly, I'm trying to write them down. She talked about she said faithful, goodwill, and mighty works. And when I think about one who is being faithful and tying that into our marriage laws and how our holy prophet and the great God Allah intend for our marriage to be, you got to be faithful. If you not, even when I was in the church, we used to say, if Allah, if you were faithful over little things, he will make you ruler over many. And see, if you can't be faithful over little small things, how do you think the great God Allah gonna raise you up to be faithful over bigger things? And how can you be faithful in a marriage to take care a goddess or your children or whatnot if you can't be faithful over the little small things that the great God Allah gives you? And I thought about the goodwill part when she was talking about the goodwill. I thought about goodwill, how that means favor. I think about how the great God Allah has given us favor as with a shield, and I thought about kindness when I think about goodwill, and also I thought about when I think about goodwill, how that's one who thinks of others before they think of him or herself, who is willing and cheerfully makes sacrifices in order to accommodate somebody else's will. In other words, you be about your father's business. You don't be it ain't about what you want. It's about what the great God Allah want. It's about what his will is. You come in here and you conform to his will. It's about what he wants us to do. And then he said, if we seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, he said, everything else that you want, it'll be added unto you. Basically, if you put him first, if you conform to his will, and know, as our chairman always drilling us, who made you? The great God of love made you. And then she talked about mighty works. And then when I tie that to the marriage too, because when you learn how to do mighty works, when you are able to do mighty works for the great God of law, see you're gonna have to put forth mighty works in that marriage too, because you're gonna go through some things. And just like you was talking about how that twin flame, when you're a twin flame, basically how you almost you complete each other's sentences. Y'all just think alike. And I've heard some people say, and it is true, you be together so long, you start to be starting to look alike in similar ways. You start doing things as one. And these are mighty works. These are works that you will learn along the way, family, and dealing with your twin flame, and dealing with others. And last but not least, the principles: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You can put those principles to any area in your life, whether it's in a marriage, whether it's on your job, whether you just talking to somebody, those principles can guide you in every area of your life. So gratitude, National Sister Grand Sheet, for letting me share that. That's what I had gotten out of what y'all brought forth. And I got a lot more I could say, but I know my Moorish kin is anxious to jump in here and share their message. Islam, peace and love.
Islam, can you hear you?
Oh yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Gratitude. Want to give honors to your grandman for that droid, and honors to everybody that's on the manifest. Sister Curta Bay. Honors to everybody that is yet to come, because the best is yet to come. And well, all I can say is, like I say, ain't no real. We call them bonds of straw, anything outside, but it's a special situation. So gratitude for that measure, family. Islam. Start seeking phone, Moors.
Islam?
Islam.
Yeah, this is Dr. Marvin Elvis Bay. Praise and honor has been given. You know, wanted to continue my measure. In honor to Dr. Dendra Neal Curtis Bay for her measure. And yes, this is definitely a very powerful class we have here. We talk about the marriage, the Moorish marriage laws, and as I recall now, as you were speaking, and you're talking about that spiritual, what I mean, that intellectual marriage, you know what I mean, and just as the God has spoke on about when people say are married to any degree of time, you know what I mean, but they have come so in tune, spiritually and mentally, what I mean, they've come so in touch with each other's, say, emotions as well as their thoughts, because we know that thought is the cause of it all. And so they actually begin to share each other's characteristics, share each other's mannerisms. And I've seen that, and it can actually go beyond just the actions, it can go to the actual physical expression. They begin to actually look alike. I mean, it's amazing, you know what I mean? But that's a whole nother measure. But and as we were speaking about the polygamy, you know what I mean? But the spiritual, I believe it was spiritual polygamy, you know what I mean? And I think we had a conversation on that, wherein and I when I first thought of that particularly, I thought about the prophet. You know what I mean? Even though he had two wives, but he had, his spirit was amongst the whole nation. You know what I mean? There was a marriage amongst all of his people. I mean, that's on a whole nother level. But this is where we are going anyway, because it's all about elevating our consciousness to such a level that we can know, like we often say, you know what I mean? If you don't want more to know what you're thinking, don't think it. You know what I'm saying? So we want to be to that point where we know what each other is thinking. I mean, we can cross that threshold, you know what I mean? That boundary, you know what I mean? And transmute amongst ourselves. I mean, that is to say that this can be taken to very high levels, you know what I mean, of understanding. And but this is where we are. We got to begin somewhere. You know what I mean? We got to begin by studying in the self. We got to begin by purifying the heart and mind first. You know what I mean? You got to be sincere, because you have to be sincere in order to endure. You know what I mean? What we got to endure. Because when we're dealing with our people, and I've witnessed some of your um, experience, online. You know what I mean? And our people, you know what I mean, not to talk down about them, but our people just don't know. They don't have the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. You have to be studying. And not only you have to be studying, you have to be studying these divine lessons that the prophet brought. You know what I mean? It's not a haphazard thing that the prophet came. I mean, and it's not a joke. I mean, this is a divine and national movement. So when we look at that, we have to take into account of divinity, which is the great God. This is no joke, nothing to play with. You know what I mean? And so as we grow in these lessons, grow in this understanding, you know what I mean, we can be more prepared for even just a marriage on the manifest. You know what I mean? Because and just as the chapter 45 was saying about fix not, you know what I mean? You don't fix your attention so lightly, so to speak. I'm paraphrasing. I probably should have that chapter out when I speak on that. But it is to say that, well, I guess that's from the duty of a husband, but it's for a man and wife, you know. And of course, the husband has to take his position, I say first, being the head. You know, he has to be a father, have to be a husband. You know what I mean? Have to be willing to um, direct. You know, but and we also understand too that the woman, and you spoke on it, it's a co-regency. You know what I mean? We're you know the man on top. You know what I mean? Issuing out orders, as one would think. No, it is a co-regency. We communicate. We share the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. But if one is on another level, then that's something that's room for growth. You know. But yes, sir, this is a very powerful class. It's something that is very needed because as we come together as a nation, as a government, we need to be prepared. We need to be fortified from the family up. I mean, that's the foundation of the nation, family. You know, and going back to that polygamy, the intellectual one. I mean, like so many of our brothers are, you know, like they just taking them off. You know what I mean? Not just off the count, but just storing them in a place where they cannot be as effective as they would if they was out here. You know what I mean? And some have been taken off the count as well. But then, you know, just as they say, it takes a village to raise a child. You know what I mean? And so it's going to go back to that. You know what I mean? We are all family, so we all got to look after each other. You know what I mean? And that's what I would like to ask. And I just say gratitude for allowing me to speak. Islam and peace and love. Islam.
Yep, Islam. Okay. So Brother Marvin, that was bait. Grand man. On that special measure, right? And we talked earlier, me and you always building on these drawings. I just want to get your insight just on the question. Why is it now? I don't know if you really paid attention to the younger generation. They begin to look at the marriage tie as like it's some taboo, like get married. What y'all talking about? You hear this in social media. You ever came across that before, Grand Man?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Well, when I think about that, it's just goes in keeping with how where the society at large is heading. You know what I mean? We have the LBGQ. I don't know all the acronym, total acronym on it. You have that demonstration. You got the women demonstration. You know what I mean? Um, and it just got people confused about the family. You know what I mean? And so when the younger generation don't want to be married because they haven't been instructed, haven't been informed properly concerning it. I mean, this is not.
So you think they responding basically to the horror stories that done heard about over here in the West, what marriage look like, basically, and looking at some of the examples too, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna call the people. I'm gonna put the police. I'm gonna, I'm finna sue you and divorce you and take everything you got, including the foundation.
When like at one time, I mean that's the last thing the goddess would do is call the police on the brother. You know what I mean?
And yes, it's tit for tat. And it ain't just the sisters. His brother's taking advantage of sisters too. You know what I mean? Some people setting people up and taking them off the count so they can
Wow.
take everything they got.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
yeah, I done heard some real bad horror stories, but I just wanted to ask that, because the young generation are looking at it crazy. That's why they have to be taught these lessons,
That's right.
in Moorish America. I just wanted to ask you that, grand man, but all is well.
And gratitude.
Gratitude. Islam. Thank you, brother, for that measure. All right. Islam, is there any other more who would like to come forth and give their draw? The floor is still open, family. Want to give honors to the brother Cali, cuz we give honors to you, brother.
Islam.
Islam, Noble Brian. Islam, that brother Jehudi Bey.
Islam. It is I, National Grand, Assistant Grand Sheik. It is I, Jehudi Bey from North Carolina. Islam, first let me rise and give all praise to Mighty God Allah. Let me give honors to our Holy Prophet, Noble Jew Ali. Let me give honors to the Moorish American government, honors to our flag, seal, and emblem. Let me give honors to all Moorish Americans here, there, and everywhere. Also, let me give honors to our officials, Act 1, honors to our Secretary of State for opening up, and honors to yourself for this grand class, Assistant Grand Sheik. It's always much needed when we talk about the bond between our goddesses and our god men, these marriage laws, and how we apply them to one another. It's one thing to have marriage laws, it's another thing to have the self-law, being able to govern yourself. And this is what we teach here in the Moorish American government. First and foremost, you have to know thyself. The Prophet has given us instructions to do. And once we know ourselves, we can better aid and assist and bond with another spirit, like mind and spirit, another heart, another's, so we bring these lessons together where we can better understand who we are. Speaking on myself, I praise Allah for being able to go through the trials and tribulations of this journey, and knowing what given me the ability to know what I did not want in my life. I did not want to be abused by any other, of another female, because of a kind heart, because all I wanted to do was love. It wasn't something that I wanted to jump in the bed. It was something I wanted to touch. And that was that heart and that mind. It was a connection that I felt that the great God allowed, instilled in me to be able to come at one on a higher level. To me, anyone can, anyone can get between the sheets. They've taken that process to a whole different level. But it's a whole different thing when you can connect to one's mind, connect to one's spirit. It's a different vibration to be one in consciousness with another and be one with the great God Allah. When we rise in love, we connect to the great God Allah. When we are able to do things that we probably never thought we would be able to do, like our goddess Curtis Bay was saying, you'd be able to speak the same language, and you don't even have to open your mouth.
be able to finish one's sentences. You know, I can look across the room to my goddess, and she already know what I'm thinking. Islam, and you know that feeling of oneness with another spirit, another soul, is just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful feeling. Knowing that God is, you know, the God, great God Allah is in on top of that. He's at the head, watching over and protecting us. Islam, and being able to live together in one unit, and also being able to bring that demonstration to the whole body of people. You know, we know how they have these ones have tried to separate us for hundreds of years. Take the man out of the household. You know, put the woman at the head. Have her be the breadwinner. Incarcerate the man. You know, all kind of things going on to separate and break up our families. We see it every day on the television, on the commercials. Used to be a time when you would never see a European female with an Asiatic man. Now you see it all the time. You know, and you know they're trying to, you know, continue to separate us as one. But we're here to bring these laws and lessons back, to know that you know, who made us is the great God Allah. You know, he did not want us to be separated. When we come together, that's a whole different type of energy putting forth when two spirits are together as one. The great God Allah can do things that's just magical to bring about unity to our people and to one another. You know, when we keep that, you know, we keep that higher self and within both of us, and never think about doing anything to harm one another in that lower self. Demonstrate, never raise a voice. You know, it is when you're true to yourself, then you can be true to your marriage. When you're true to yourself, you can be true to the great God Allah. And I give honors to our Moorish American government, because a lot of these things I did not know before I came on to the Moorish American government. You know, it was. I thought I was a man. I was doing the right thing, saying the right thing. You know, I felt good about the direction that I was going in. But I tell you, once I came on to the Moorish American government, everything elevated. Everything took a different spiritual vibration and lifted me to a knowledge of not just myself, but my place in the world, and in my goddess's heart, and in my connection to my great God Allah. And I tell you, it's just a beautiful thing, a beautiful feeling, knowing that I'm one with another spirit. And I give you honors, Assistant Grand Sheik, for this class. And these marriage laws are very important. So we don't go outside and be something that we're not. We're supposed to be together. You know, it's not. I think, you know, women should be over there, men should be over there. They should be sitting on one side of the room and we sit on another. I never got with that demonstration. We're one. And if you're a true man, if you're a true Moorish American Muslim in the Moorish American government, then you're going to respect your woman, you're going to respect your goddess. And not just your goddess, but all goddesses. Islam, as I said before, we're family. And you treat family with love. Islam, Sister Grand Sheik, we love you. Peace and love.
And Islam, in gratitude for that measure, Brother Jehudi, we give honors to you for that measure as well. Peace and love. And we see our beloved brother Kelly Cuz put a question and he said, More, I was told today that the book of Genesis was really called the book of Isis and her bloodline. Is that true, cuz? um, in the light of what Brother Jehudi was demonstrating, I remember back in a few moons ago, I would speak on Genesis as gene of Isis. Gene is us, so to speak. And now that we have a grand knowledge of the mitochondria, we understand that the goddess, is ever present, in the seed, of the God man per se. Meaning that once one gives birth, it's the mitochondria, in the DNA, that which comes through the mother, that brings about an extension, but it takes the husband to plant that seed in order for that chemistry to take place. So I always use the term, even when we say something like that, when we speak of the gene of Isis or Richard's gene of Offset, a gene of Isha, so to speak, in all actuality, this has to come through the union with the gene of Ish, so this removes all the gender and all you can see is divinity there. So that's a powerful demonstration in and of itself, though. So gratitude for the question, brother. We give honors to our beloved brother and consul general of the territory of North Carolina, Dr. Jehudi Bey. Honors to you, grand man, because you and the God woman, Sister Zaket, we know y'all twin flames. Islamism without the schism. Peace and love. All right. Is there any other more? I mean, we got plenty of time up here. We opened it up. We let y'all kick it open early. So, ain't no excuse. Come on up in here, Moors, and get that grand draw and teach your people how to be a people. Islam. Islam, grand man. That brother Gerald Hamid Muhammad Bey.
Yes, sir. Yes, my beloved brother. This gratitude, Islam. Yes, I'm Dr. Gerald Hamid Muhammad Bey of the South Carolina Consulate. First, let me rise in praise of our Father God Allah, who is the best known arranger of all things. I want to give honors to his holy prophet, our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I want to give honors to our Moorish American government. And I want to give honors to our Moorish American nation. I want to give honors to everything Moorish. I want to give honors to you, grand man, for this grand class. I want to give honors to all of our Moorish kin, all of our visitors, and everybody that's on this conference call tonight. Islam, peace and love, peace and gratitude. Grand class as always, grand man, and dealing with this subject matter. One of the things that I focused on when you were speaking, when you first started speaking, you talked about the matrimonial hajj. So when we're talking about, say, myself as being a husband, in my humble understanding, when we talk about marriage, it's very important that we as a people understand that the first union, the first relationship, the most important relationship that we can have as a man or a woman is with the great God and Father of the universe. This is why Swift Angel number 1, our national grand champion, Dr. Akhenaten Perkin Harun Tutankhamun Bey, she constantly reiterates the significance and the importance of that first question in our questionnaire: who made me? So that's the first union that one should seek to strive for. And it's so powerful because, see, that union or that matrimonial journey of the relationship, connecting ourselves to the God within ourselves, because we are a part and a partial of the great God, because we're not the bones, we're not the flesh, we're spirit. So we've been disconnected through what we have been raised in over 400 plus years. So now the prophet came and brought us the teachings to reunite us, to reconnect us to our great God. That's the first marriage. That's the first journey. And that's the foundation. That's the foundational principle that allows a husband or a wife to be able to come together and endure all things. When that principle is based, when that relationship is based upon their relationship first and foremost with their Father God Allah, and as a Moorish American, through the teachings and the lessons of his holy prophet, our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, then their standing, that relation is founded upon a foundation that can withstand all things because it's based upon truth. And we know that truth is the only thing that changes not. And this allows, in saying of, say, me being a husband, this puts my, if I have an issue in terms of ego or arrogance or whatever, you know, if the relationship is founded upon our relationship with our Father God Allah and those teachings, then that puts me in check. Because like you said, Grandman, I must conform. If I'm in conformity to that truth, and I have established, right, that uniting hand, right, putting my hand or my mind in the mind, with the mind, in unity with the mind of my Father God Allah, then that means that I'm going to conform, I'm going to be obedient to that no matter what. And the God woman, right, that would be in my life, if she too, which she is, right, is in that same state, then we have a foundation that will always be sound. And that's so very, very key. You know, and I think in the Piscean record, they put it this way, you know, that one should have a companion or a wife that is evenly yoked. Don't be in a relationship where it's unevenly yoked. That means don't be in a relationship where you're not on one accord. You know, something, you know, like one is in the world and the other one is on the spiritual path. We know that there is a possibility of that changing. But at some point, if it does not change, it's going to fail. And I want to talk about now, when you talked about, you went into these thing about race pride. That's another thing. See, when we start dealing with ourselves as a people, we have been given an illusion, which in the Moorish paradigm, we call it Maya. Maya, right, is a word that represents when we have taken falsehood to be truth and truth to be falsehood. And that's what we have done. We've been living in a Eurocentric acculturation, an indoctrination whereby we've been told that I'm black and I'm proud. I'm an African American and you're not. These things are not based upon truth. So now that means that we think we're having pride in these things, this is a false pride. So when the prophet is talking about having race pride, the first thing that one has to know is, okay, well, what is our race? As a nation of people, we know that we're Asiatic. We know that our free national name is Moorish American. Why? Because this is Moorish America. That's having race pride. Now I can stand knowing, right, that the history behind my Moorish ancestors goes back to the most ancient antiquity of time. In fact, you can't even trace where it began at because we say time never was when we were not. So this is very, very important because, see, when you have race pride, now, right, I can't see my brother as my enemy. I can't look at him as something downtrodden, maybe because, you understand, he's having a hard time, you know, or she's having a hard time, you know, financially, economically, socially, or whatever. I see my brother or my sister in the eyes as my divine brother and sister. When I look at them, I look at their spirit that's within them. I don't get caught up in the flesh. So then you So in a marriage, this is why, again, going back to the foundation, right? That first relationship should be with the Father, God, Allah. As one of the Moors said, we talking about what? We talking about, in order to be faithful, one has to have the truth. Well, we know in the Moorish teaching, we understand that truth is art, and art is the great God and Father of the universe, whom we call Allah. See? So without the truth, right, it's impossible to be faithful. So everything, man, this is so beautiful because everything refers back to the first relationship, the sound foundation that we build all relationships with. Whether it's husband and wife, brother, sister and sister, tribe with tribe, family with family, community with community, country, nations. This is what is, it's just so broad. And then goodwill. So how can one have goodwill? See, goodwill is based upon righteousness. It's based upon righteousness. One cannot be righteous if one does not have the righteous teachings. We back to the truth again. So everything is founded, right, in relationships, in any phase. The truth has to prevail. And this is why we say in our Moorish paradigm, we say that Allah is leading on and victory is assured. So when we understand that truth is art and art is Allah, we can translate that into that truth is leading on and victory is assured. We in this Moorish American nation and its government, we are unfolding in the different degrees of being the manifestation of that truth in the temple of the flesh. We represent that divinity that's leading on and victory is assured. And this is a grand class. Let me stop running my big Islam. Gratitude. Thanks for letting me share, brother. Islam, grand class. Peace and love.
Islam and gratitude for the measure. Islamism without the schism. And I want to say something too, because, when you get to talking about this marriage thing, especially when, a Muslim is speaking on this particular level, a lot of people get it twisted because they have been given a negative view of what marriage is supposed to be, based upon the way ones have so set out to interpret this measure. There's a measure in the Grand Quran that many people had a misunderstanding of. I want to give honors to all the Moors who have brought a lot of these particular classical works that we have. And I want to give our family a draw, and I always tell our family this. In the Grand Quran, as it relates to the Moorish Holy Quran, they are hand in hand. Even though one book may be thicker than the other, all of the lessons in the thicker book are, in a nutshell, summed up in the Circle 7. And so dealing with this particular branch of knowledge on the marriage, there's a surah that relates to this special drawing that has been properly misunderstood. And it's called Al-Nisa. We came out of this earlier today, but it's called the woman. See, every surah in the Grand Quran has a heart to it, and there's a particular measure that deals specifically with whatever that surah is labeled. You will find the grand measure in the Grand Quran on that, you see? And so in this particular surah, Al-Nisa, dealing with the woman, this is that actual heart of this surah, because it actually deals with how men should treat the women and how they should honor the women. And some people have tried to use this particular measure to make it look as if man was supposed to be dominating the woman and abusive toward the woman. But I want to give our family some insight on this here, following up behind our brother Jared Ahmed Muhammad Bey. And it says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Merciful. So it says, and this is Surah 4, Ayat 34. Listen to this, family. It says, Ar-Rijalu Kawamuna ala Nisa bima fadalahu badum ala badun wa bima anfuku min amalihim fasalihatu kinatun hafizul ligaibi bima hafsiza Allah walati takafuna nushuzuna faizahuna wa jaruhuna fil majahi wa dribuhun fin el atakanum fala tabkul alahina sabila inna alahkana alahi kabira, right? And when you heard that word that said, Nisa, Nisa, right? This is speaking of the woman, right? And what it actually says in the translation, it says men are the protectors and maintainers of women, right? It says because Allah has given one more strength than the other. So we can see this actually pointed out. 3 and 4 we know is 7. So in the 7th act of our Moorish, the acts of our divine constitution and bylaws, it tell you what the duties of the man is. It tell you the duties of the woman right there, right? This is actually right there in line with exactly what we are being told. You see? So it says men are the protectors and maintainers of women because Allah has given one more strength than the other, and because they support them from their means. It says, therefore the righteous women are devoutly obedient, guard in their husband's absence what Allah would have them guard, right? As to those women on whose part ye fear disloyalty and ill conduct, admonish them first. And it says, next, refuse to share their beds, and last, beat them lightly. Now, I'm going to show you how this was a misinterpretation. Watch this. It says, but if they return to obedience, seek not against them any means of annoyance, for Allah is most high and great above you all. Now, this is where the Arabs came and tried to justify putting their hand on a woman, so to speak, and so forth and so on. That was the choice of the translator to put that in there like that, because we have a drawing right here in the commentary on it where they give a grander drawing, and this is coming from the commentary of the Quran, and it sets this demonstration straight, most definitely. And what it says is, it says in this verse, it lays down a big responsibility for maintaining and sustaining women and provides guidelines in a case of family disputes. And it says, call amun, which is the first thing that was mentioned in that particular surah. It says derived from kama, and it means one who manages affairs well. So a man has to be in a position to manage his affairs well in order to manage the affairs in the relationship well, right? It says who sets things right, who stands firm in another's business, who protects his or her interests. And so this can go both ways. It says, and looks after his or her affairs. So it's not trying to place one over another. It says his or hers in this commentary, right? It says, or maintainer and sustainer. It says, thus, it says the word combines the concept of physical maintenance with that of moral and financial responsibility. A wa'amun is an intensive form of, and thus more comprehensive than qaim. The verse describes the responsibilities of men and family as embedded in the word qawum. Then it says nashush means disobedience, rebellion, ill will. It says deliberate bad behavior, desertion, rising against someone, resisting or hating. Taj, kamus. And it says Ibn Hayyan explains it is moving out of the married couple's home against the wishes of the husband. It includes, it says, what is now frequently described as mental cruelty and persistent breach of martial obligations. In such a situation, 3 steps are mentioned can be taken in the following order. It says verbal advice, an admonition and temporary suspension of conjugal relations, and lastly, some other kind of symbolic punishment. He says inflicting physical punishment on women was sadly common in many societies, and unfortunately some men derive the legitimacy of punishing their wives from the word adribu, stated in this verse, Ajribu is derived from Jerabba, Zaraba, pardon self, a word which a great variety of meanings and interpretation in the language in the Quran. Such meanings include to heal, strike, put forward an example, put forth a parable, make a journey, move away, travel, mix, cover, impose, prevent, take something away. So this is letting you know that out of all of these definitions, the translator put these particular things there, and they translated them literally as opposed to being careful in the translation, so to speak, right? And this gives leeway to ones to do, some horrible things based upon the word. And this is why people look at things from a negative standpoint. It says this word has been used in the Holy Quran over 58 times. It says with different meanings, and it shows it in all the surahs here. It says, thus, it does not mean here to strike physically. It says, and it certainly does not mean to inflict physical punishment on a woman. It says, meaning such as take something away or put forth an example symbolically can be used as the translation of the word here. So basically, we want to give honors to, this exegesis of the Holy Quran, the Grand Quran, in correcting these things, because, this is the type of work that needs to be done, because the translator is not the great God Allah, the transliterator, so to speak. And whatever the intent, the great God Allah know what was in one heart, but we give honors to this one coming and bringing the clarity here. Anytime somebody set out to translate a book and they choose a word, they chose to do that. You see what I'm saying? So you can't blame the great God Allah for somebody misinterpreting something. So like it says it has nothing to do with striking a woman physically. Ain't got nothing to do with no physical handling of a woman. So you can get that all out your head. And nowhere do it teach you that in Moorish law anyway. So when we talk about man, supporting his family and so forth and so on, the woman doing her duty around, ain't got nothing to do with one oppressing the other if they don't do it. If you don't do it how I say do it, when I say no, that's what tear families apart. But I just wanted to give our family that insight, because some people, can only see from the manifest. And this thing go a little deeper than that. And reading it and finishing it, it says also, it says the meaning such as take something away or put forth an example, and again, it said that it can be, a parable, making a journey, moving away, traveling, mixing and prevent, basically letting it be known through your action without trying to touch somebody, that you are not standing for the foo-foo. So it says that the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, is reported to have said, you will not find these men as best among you who punish their wives. So even Muhammad ibn Abdullah said, you won't find the men that among you, that are in their high state of conscience that punish their wives. And also, he rhetorically asked, could any of you beat his wife and then lie with her in the evening? No. So Muhammad ibn Abdullah, he was against that. So I mean, we can go on and on and on, but I mean, we done made our point clear, go a little further, go deeper. But also we have to understand what we call Alina is, a companion who stand beside your side. It can be your wife, it can be the husband, standing beside the wife, or the wife beside the husband. Your companions are also your intimate friends, your associates. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna mistreat none of them, but that's a whole nother measure. So gratitude. I want to open up the floor again for our Moorish kin so they can come forward. We just want to bring some clarity there. Islam, grand man.
Islam, these talked about you today with the Bible church. So it's like the rise to give our man praise to Allah. Understood the prophet. Understand the create the government, our world council, our flag sailor, the divine constitution, Swift angels, Mufti, Sisters alike. Understood all the Moors that are here on this call, all the ones that know and don't. And honestly for this class and this topic. And one of the biggest things that I see is just even before stepping into the government is we have poor sense of communication. And a lot of times the man got to leave, or the man should, how we're saying, and I want to make it seem, egotistical in no shape or form, but how Act 7 is constructed, man, wife, child, and children. And so it has to come down to where there's goals being set. Everything has to be put forth on the table. A lack of communication can fumble a great thing. And when there's no clarity on the manifest, that means it leaves air for confusion. And so that's one of the things that holistically, as us as a people are, we don't communicate clearly. We assume that we are, we are to know. Maybe because we came from a telepathic background, but I'm saying more in the sense that we have to we need to put forth everything on the table when it comes down to who we are, especially when we're having wives, wives outside of Moorish America, and in the sense that they are, but Moorish Americans, but they're not of the temple. As the prophet, said. So they're not of the government. Then you have to be able to put everything on the table and see that. And a lot of them can't even see that the goal is, I'm a believer, you're a believer. We still believe in a great being that that supersedes us, but we say that God is in us, and that comes giving us the higher understanding, that can be articulated. And so another thing is, when it comes down to putting the hands, you don't got to put your hands or nothing like that. It's just a lot of people don't know how to communicate. They know how to talk, but communication is a whole different ballgame. Communication involves listening, and listening, comprehending, and effectively responding. But that's not something we harness on, or where we come from. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, since it comes from, our economic, political, and social environments, the articulation, a lot of bad things happen because we don't articulate what it is that what it is that bothers us, what it is that we need, what it is that we desire, things of that nature. So it's all, to me, when we're saying about this, it's all about communication. And that's why the prophet gave us those guidelines in, the warning to the men, and then marriage laws for us, so that we have a format to build from. Because in the West, it's just strictly lust, and because you're going off of what you see as opposed to what you know, then illusions always happen, and so you think somebody has I'm saying there for you, and they're really not. So in the sense, in that sense, you know what I'm saying. So we go off by this consumer. We take that consumer mentality into every realm of life, because this is a consumer society. And we're trying to break away from that, having these divine principles and these acts. These acts, preclude action. So with that, I leave it to common peace and grand measure of God.
Yes, sir. And gratitude, Consul General of the Iowa Territory. We give honors to that thought. But yeah, I love the way everybody need to get their hands on this exegesis of the Holy Quran, the commentary reflections, because there are some powerful drawings in here, even when it comes to dealing with knowing that God is within oneself. We got some very powerful tools over here, to aid and assist our family in many different ways. And I love to study. I love reading. I got books surrounding me right now. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm actually going back through my library, and I've added on. And so all of these things are nothing unless we know how to put these tools into action. That's what it really boiled down to, not just amassing the books, but being able to make them applicable to our situation. So Islam, we give honors to you, brother. All right. Is there any other more who would like to come forth and exercise their fire? The floor is still open. Islam, goddess and queen.
Yes, sir. Would you be kind enough to repeat the question on the floor so I can make sure I'm focused?
Yeah, there's no question on the floor, sister. Our message is dealing with the Moorish marriage laws, and the matrimonial
Yes.
hajj of Maat, so to speak. That's what I have out here in the public, but we're dealing with the Moorish marriage laws in the base. Go ahead, Queen.
Yes. Yes, for gratitude. This is Sister Cammy. I'm in Michigan. I rise, honor, and praise the great God of Allah. I honor His Prophet Noble Drew Ali, official citizens, Moorish here, there, and everywhere, especially my Moorish kin. I'm coming from the Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 44, ayat 2. It says, examine with care and fix not suddenly. And the part I'm focusing on is thy present choice depends on thy future happiness. I was listening to the other Quran, and it said beat her gently or something, and some other stuff. And we're peace-loving people. Being aggressive and violent in any way, if we behave that way, we will be hypocrites. So with the Moorish Holy Quran, when it says on thy present choice depends thy future happiness, when you take on a wife or when a woman accepts a marriage proposal, you can't do it suddenly. Your present choice depends on our future happiness. I'm confident that as adults, we've all had relationships. Some of us have had multiple marriages. And if your mate is not in harmony with you, that happiness in the present, in the future, will be non-existent. If your mate is, let's see, what does it say? Laugh as much, talk as loud. If she's that way, and if you're calm, patient, peaceful, that compatibility isn't there. Sometimes you'll get to a point that your mate will push you past your limits, and you'll think about raising your hand, and you walk away. I have earthly family, had some conflict, and I remind him there's never a reason not to practice peace in your union and to just walk away. I encourage him to walk to my house and stay here until, things calm down, before he ended up in a Roman domestic situation. But there are all types of ways that people will use the things that you say, the things that you do, holy and divine text, twist it, remix it, translate it to justify their actions. We know that to be a fact by the way Rome used Christianity to justify slavery. The whole point is when you take on a mate, it's permanent. We don't believe in divorce, separation, or anything of that nature. Once you have that union, it is in this lifetime in the fleshly form and on the plane of soul. Happiness, being content, all of the good things in life can be dependent upon thy present choice depends on thy present choice depends thy future happiness. So as far as the Moorish marriage laws, before you get to the point that you have an ordained divine minister of the Moorish American government performing that marriage ceremony, make sure you have a mate that is compatible with you, so it will not result in discord and result in destruction and conflict and chaos. And you won't find yourself in Hotel Miserables. I've been there for other reasons, but it's not a good place to be. Gratitude.
And Islam and gratitude for the measure, sister. But I would like to come forth again with more clarity and correction, as we stated earlier. You know, we don't promote the physical violence against anyone when it comes to dealing with this thing, and that's why we gave you the proper source, you know, so that you would have a knowledge, because the book of the great God Allah is the book of the great God Allah, and no one truth contradicts another truth. It's just our understanding of it. And as I came forth earlier, sister, I don't know whether you heard it or not, you know, as it was stated, inflicting physical punishment on women was sadly common in many societies, and unfortunately some men derive the legitimacy from punishing their wives from a particular word, which is ajribu, and it was stated in the verse that was written earlier, and it's derived as zaraba, and the word with the great variety of meanings and interpretations in the Arabic language and the Holy Quran of such meanings means to heal, strike, put away, put forward, a parable, to make a journey, to move away. All of those things you stated had already been stated. We give honors to you for that. You know, but the whole issue is that there is no truth that contradicts another truth. And we give honors to this particular work because it makes it plain. You know, and it says that this does not mean to physically strike. It certainly does not mean to inflict physical punishment on women. And the meanings as to take something away or put forth an example symbolically can be used as a word here. The reason why it's necessary for me to bring this up, because on the basis of us being Muslims out here in the public, what happened is people associate what they heard Islamism was. Oh, I heard the woman ain't got no rights. I heard that the man can beat the woman and all this stuff. And this is what we're doing. We actually dispelling these myths, so to speak, and showing you right now that, you know, true Muslims don't demonstrate. This is symbolic, is the way it's demonstrated here. And that's in accordance with our Moorish Holy Quran, because that would become a question to most people that are outside, whether we Moorish American Muslim, whether we Sunni, Shiite, NOI, you know, that becomes a question for women from what they heard. And so we are here bringing clarity to our people, you know, to let it be known from a scholastic standpoint that that's a great misunderstanding. But we can't control the way people translate the books. That's another thing. See, people get to reading a translation, and if they don't know the true or the whole language, they begin blaming Allah for the way the man translated the book. Allah was the real revealer of the book. You know, man chose to translate the word how he chose to. You got 30 different words that come from one word in a particular book, and Allah ain't told man to choose a particular word. That's the word he chose to choose when he translates something. So, you know, we have to make these things clear for those who are listening that don't know nothing about Islam at all, because that will be a question that they raise to mind when it comes to marriage. So we give honors for the measures that all the Moors have brought forth. And at this time, we're going to call forth our officials and close this demonstration out. It's been a pleasure. We give honors to all of our Moorish kin. We give honors to our Grand National Secretary of State for giving that grand drawing, powerful measure of laying the foundation. And this is how we demonstrate Moorish unity. So at this time, we're going to call forth the goddess and queen sister, All-Setter Moon El, of the Ra Moon El tribe. You know, are you there, goddess and queen?
Islam Grand Man, the goddess is on a mission at this particular point in time. Peace and love.
Islam, peace and love. All right, brother Jerry Hamid Muhammad Bey, gratitude for that report. All right, let us call forth then our National Grand Mufti, Dr. Khonshu Maat Heru Bey. Islam, you there, God man?
Islam.
Islamism, General.
Islam is the grand man. Gratitude calls forth. We rise first and foremost, giving all thanksgiving, adoration, worship, and praise to our Father God Allah, the great God of the universe, the most beneficent and the most wise. We give the highest honors that we can give to his prophet, our prophet, the last prophet in these days and in these times, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, El Hashi Sharif Abdul Ali, the Savior of humanity. We give honor to his forerunner, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and we give honor to his government, our government, the Moorish American government, the government in which we live, according to Act 6. We give honor to the officials of this said government, our divine ministers and our swift angels, our mufti and royal council, secretaries. We give honor to our citizens, the Moorish Americans. We give honor to our flag, our divine constitution and bylaws, our holy Quran, our grand national seal, our grand national emblem, our book of fire, the examen of a nation. We give honor to everything that is Moorish. We give a special high honor to you, National Assistant Grand Chief, for bringing forth this grand Moorish perspective this evening. I should do it well. Grand measure, and bringing it to the forefront for the Moorish Americans to contemplate. We give honor to all of our Moorish kin who have spoken before us, and to our Moorish kin that will speak after us. We give honors to you, angels. We continue to give honors where they're due and honor all true and divine prophets. And yes, we give honors to our ancestors as they have come before us, leading the way. We are them today without doubt or contradiction, because no one has the power to change man from his nature. Simple and plain, Islam. The marriage laws and the binding that Allah does between man and woman is so important and is so key to our unity and to our freedom. We have to look at that law governs all events. And this is why we have the laws, because without laws, you have anarchy or chaos, and chaos brings about destruction. And what we're about is life everlasting, the perfecting of the man, of the self. We have to look at our relationship together, and why that the enemy is always trying to attack that relationship, because they recognize that we are so powerful when we're in our natural state together, when we're demonstrating God and God is united, divine masculine, divine feminine, united in thought and action towards a goal. We see ourselves as the Lord of the plane of soul and the Lord of the plane of things made manifest. I want to understand that, I see posts all the time on the internet. It talks about, and even in our, most importantly, even in our Zoom of a Nation, it talks about this whole single mom attack on our people and what it has brought and how it has hindered us. And so it's important that we look at the marriage law as as the law is set forth by our prophet, and the importance of taking upon ourselves a wife and obey the ordinance of Allah. Or ordinance, once again, we're talking about some laws here. It's so important that we have strong families, and we have a nucleus or a protective center from which we extend out our God nature. It's so important because everything starts from the center and vibrates to the outer bounds. And when we can learn to get together, work together, and stay together in the bounds of righteousness, then it vibrates into every other thing. One thing about the European, and that's not the only all the adversaries we have, but even in his understanding, he knows that our love is death. We already have the original gene, the original DNA, what we call dominant DNA, that's able to create everything and also be able to take and cleanse that one from this world. This is why they got to stick together. This is why they know as a mutation, they cannot have us intermixing with them. And like was said before, when we get with each other, there is a basic understanding that we was created to be together. And so there's a unity or a synergy that happens when we get together. And then when you put the right puzzle pieces together, they create the picture. Sometimes you got puzzle pieces where a part may fit sort of or kind of close, but it doesn't help you complete the whole picture because it's out of order. And so the law is that, one got to fit in the places that they're supposed to be. And so we need the divine masculine, we need the divine feminine to work together in order to express the greatest that's within us as a people. And that's going to help bring about salvation, because the legacy that we leave is all about what? Honoring our mother and our father, that our days may be longer on the earth that the Lord thy God Allah gave you. And so how can you honor them if you don't continue to be mothers and fathers? The mothers and fathers have to recognize that the children they produce is their responsibility. And that whether or not this child is going to be a productive member of society or a person to themselves is all dependent upon their actions. Because the child is an imitation or a byproduct of the union. And so, we are responsible for our children. We're responsible for the effect they have in the world, and we are responsible for sticking to the law that we say to each other. We are united in the marriage bond. Once you're united, you can't spread it apart unless you wasn't being sincere, unless you trying to continue to be individuals, and you never really gave yourself fully into it. Because once you bound, you bound. Once it's bonded together, there ain't no separating it. Demonstration it's being mixed together. The only one can go apart is when you never, or you didn't use the correct bonding thing. When you get into welding, got like thing they call flex, and what the flux does is allow the materials, the metals, to be able to bond together with the heat. As a reaction to the atoms, so that you have now a union. And so allows that flux, allows that uniting demonstration that brings one together, changes the molecular or atomic structure, so that it is now one. And as a spirit, we are connected to each other in that bond, and we're responsible for that. And what happens from there on is our responsibility. And so we can have what we need as a nation of people, and understanding that the family is important, that the time that we give in is a sacrifice into connecting with each other, communicating with each other, and making it a situation where we got one aim, one goal, one destiny. As our forerunners talked about, that things will continue to get better for us. Things will continue to shine the light of truth and blessings upon us as we continue our care to each other. As our covenant says, that Allah's care be continued to us all, and our love for each other. And love should always bring you home. It's what's the love should have brought you home. Love always should bring you home. And recognizing that there's no greater companion you can have than the one who has gone through the same situation, the one that's been created by the great God for you. We just have to get out of the division that's been created or been produced by engineering or programming from our adversaries. Nobody wants to see us together. Why? Because it's the most powerful thing in the world. Our love is the most powerful thing in the world. It's the most powerful thing in the world, and that's why one is tried tooth and nail to keep us from loving each other, to try tooth and nail to create every kind of division between us, try tooth and nail to create every kind of boundary and fake and bringing part of fakeness of the people nowadays, whether it be fake hair, fake nails, fake, everything is fake and everything is iffy. Why? Because the power of our love and the correct union of the masculine and feminine is what brings about harmony and unity with the universe. So gratitude, Sister Grand Sheik, for bringing forth this class, because it's very needed for us to continue to build upon what our ancestors have brought for us. And that's a divine completion in our love for each other. And gratitude to you, Moorish America, for being here with us, giving us your attention and your respect. We love you. Islam and peace.
Islam and peace to you as well, Grand Man. We give honors to you for all that you do, all that you've done, and all that you will continue to do in uplifting your people, brother. Don't get no plainer than that. Islamism without the schism. Well, let us call forth at this time our Grand National Secretary of the State of Moorish America, Sister Hatshepsut, Rakat, Maat, and Pooh, Tutankhamun Bay. Islam, you there, Goddess and Queen?
Close to the thought. Gratitude.
Islam, gratitude, Grand National Secretary of the State.
Grand class. Islam Moorish Kings. Want to rise, giving all praises to our Father God Allah, giving honor to our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the last prophet in these days and times, giving honor to our Moorish American government, all of our officials, staff, with angels, Maltese, divine ministers, most especially our Moorish kin. Giving honor to all those Moors that spoke before me, all those Moors that will speak after me. Giving honor to our National Assistant Grand Sheik of Moorish America, Dr. Shedo Amenti El-Mohedi Shepsuel, for hosting a Grand Moorish Perspectives class this evening. Also, to our National Grand Secretary of State of Indiana, Dr. Tayanati Nuhefaru El, for taking registration and reading our subject chapter for the week. It's been a grand class dealing with our Moorish marriage laws. And the thing that stood out to me, Dr. Shahi, was when you were speaking about race pride. And just in looking at this very important topic, when we look at, as our Moorish kin have stated, when you look at nations, on a national scale, they have, they're bound by their language, their history, their laws, etc. That's indicative to that a special nation. So this is what the prophet was. He brought us. This is what the prophet brought to us, dealing with our one free national name. Also, the pathway of us being able to trace ourselves back and that divine pathway to our Creator. When we look at race pride within itself, dealing with the consciousness of the dignity of one's people, that's an elevation in thought about how we perceive one another, to be proud of each other, to have that self-respect, contentment, to honor one another, have faith in each other. This is what is natural to us as a people. And when we look at that one free national name, it carries, our descent and lineage within that special demonstration, being able to hook us back up with our ancestors. So when we look at the Moorish marriage laws from a national perspective, we recognize the fact that even in the international community, everyone has the right to a nationality, as our Moorish kin have stated, and so do we. When we look at the fact that from this divine bond and being able to see the God within each other. You have, through that union, children, as our Moorish kin have stated, that we are responsible for. And in the paragraph that the chairman brought forth in reference to how did the prophet begin to uplift the Moorish Americans by teaching them to be themselves. Moorish American children can only be taught how to be free and independent Moorish Americans by their Moorish American parents. So we can no longer afford to abdicate teaching our children to somebody else that's outside the Moorish paradigm. When it comes down to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, when it comes down to being a faithful member in our special nation, we've got to bring forth the maxims of truth. And in order to be able to give it to our children, we have to have it ourselves. And that race pride, it trickles down from that universal order of things. When you're able to see the God within each other, then that's bringing about a state of harmony, peace, balance, right order. And this next sentence where it speaks about, it has been the lies, falsehood, and hypocrisy taught to the children of Allah that has cast the world into present-day chaos, war, famine, and plagues of disease. So in order for us to eradicate that special demonstration, because we're speaking about uplifting fallen humanity, we've got to teach the future guiders of the nation. And it starts with us. If not us, then who? So if we're looking for a world of peace and harmony, goodwill to each other, putting the love out there, having that support, patronage, and encouragement that our prophet speaks about, then it's got to first start from within. Our mindset has got to be purified. The prophet spoke of our condition as being in a state of mental slavery where our mind has been on lockdown, looking outside of the self. Well, now it's time to, in this new era of time, be able to go within, and get our mindset straight, going back to our natural degree as far as being a loving people, having that foresight, that intuition, that telepathy. We have so many God powers we have not even tapped into because we're too busy looking outside of ourselves. Well, this is a new era of time, Moorish kin, and we are great and grand people. We can't help but be, so this has just been a grand class, Dr. Shaheed, and the race pride is definitely what stood out to me because, our ancestors did grand and glorious things, and the more that we do the research, the more that we see that we are that, so our gratitude more for calling me forth. Much peace and love to all of my Moorish kin. Islam.
And Islamism, goddess and queen, gratitude for that measure. And this has been a powerful demonstration, family, coming forth from our Moorish American government. Ooh-wee. Oh, man. So, okay. Well, since we there, we might as well call forth our Grand National Chairman, Dr. Akanak and Pert M. Heru to coming back. Islam, you there, Grand Man?
Islam, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, loud and clear with divine ears. And we don't need no antennas neither. Islam.
Allah do the praise and give much honor to Noble Ali for letting us know that we are free, Moorish American nationals. We have our own God, our own history, forefathers, flag. Oh, man, I'm just looking at today's chapter into that duty of a husband. And this right here reminds me of how the angel of Allah, the Prophet Noble Ali, came and helped us because we didn't have a clue. We thought that during the time of slavery, one Negro married another Negro. Oh, that was something else right there. But it wasn't nothing factual, wasn't nothing true about it. The thing about it is, when Ali came, he brought our free national name, our nationality, our history, forefathers, everything. And then we could deal with things. What's the name of this chapter? Duty of a husband. Ain't that something?
duty of a husband. That means that in order for him to be a husband, he's got to get married. He got to have a wife. And it just goes on because the prophet, when he introduced these marriage laws to us, we had our own divine constitution, bylaws, everything. It takes to save a nation. We even have our own flag. More this time to wake up and realize that Allah is due the praise. Why? Because he raised a prophet from amongst us in order to save us. That's the reason why I like this title of this program called Moorish Perspectives. Because it's dealing, our host is a natural Sister Grand Sheik, and we deal with the chapter, deal with the duty of a husband. But the truth of the matter is, more, where all these things are related to us as a nation, having our own government, having our own flag. Oh, man. When you look at this chapter, and it's dealing with the first to the husband, it's dealing with the ordination of divine ministry to the marriage. We didn't know nothing about that because it was the pride at the advent of those dwelling. We thought we was Christian. We thought we was some of everything. We thought we was Negroes too. So we some of everything. But what it was, we didn't know who made us or nothing. We didn't have a clue. Because whatever Master said, that's what it was. Master said we was this. Master said we was that. And that's what we went for. But the thing about it is, now we know that it was the Germans that created Germany. It was the Italians that had something to do with Italy. Woo! The Sudanese? Oh, you talking about the Sudan? Okay. What about the Moorish American? Where'd they get that? Oh, my goodness. Why? Because they let you know, you forget about them Negroes, them black folks, them colored people, because they don't exist. NBCs. Negro 1 minute, black folks the next minute, colored folks the next minute, da-da-da. For this chapter, for this week, this part right here is dealing with the duty of a husband. You can't find that amongst no Negroes, no black people. I know it sounds all right, but it ain't true. It may sound all right, but it's not factual. You cannot find a Negro to marry, a black woman to marry, a colored man to marry. Oh, they got flags, they got history, they got all that too. Yeah, right. Okay. Moors has been an honor and a blessing. I just had to give praises to Allah for sending us our own prophet, the angel of Allah that was sent to bring us the everlasting gospel of the great God, bring us the truth. We can now be the message that we bring. That's why I like this chapter here, duty of a husband. You can't be a Negro and be a husband too. You may sound sort of slick, but ain't nothing to it. Moors has been an honor and a blessing. We love you, man. It's grand class, Moors. We love you. Islam is, by the way, we're going to carry on this chapter right on through. Because why? We got the duty of a wife. We got the marriage laws. We got everything to deal with. So we're going to be on this thing for at least a week. We love you. Islamism without the schism.
Islamism without the schism, grand man. Yes, sir. We following right up with that demonstration. You're right. It's a golden cord running through it, all the way from the teaching of the young seeds and the warning, and all the way up through the husband and the wife. Goodness gracious. The prophet didn't leave nothing out. If that ain't nation building, oh man. Love it when you talk clean to us. Goodness gracious. Well, all right. Speaking of clean talk, let us call forth our National Grand Sheik, Dr. Serapis Amin Rael. National Grand Sheikh and Godhead of Moorish America. Islam, you there, grand man?
It's close as a thought.
Oh man, that's that binding love thought the prophet brought. Islam.
And this demonstration, my handle on the phone of the receiver is still hot. I can't even touch the demonstration. But anyway, we give a lot of praise for these very, very powerful insights. I'm talking about all the Moors stepped up and gave out their measure the duty of the husband as well as the duty of the wife, or what we call marriage laws, and how those laws reverberated throughout Moorish America. And what happened? The prophet sent out a new people, a people that was latent in slavery, but he brought them up out of that slave mentality and gave them back their song. Now the Moors can sing and sing a song of beauty, because it talks about the duty of the husband and the love of the wife and the child and a multitude of the nations that combine with them. This is why it's important, grand man, that we read each night, ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care. We do that repetitiously, and it's an effective aspect, because that's the glue that keeps us together as a grand body of people, as a nation. Like one was talking about, the Chinese got his way that he performs himself. Germans, Russians, everybody got a name and the way they handle their business left the Moor. But the Moor is here and he's back. And truly, we combine these lessons with the duties of the husband as well as the wife and the child. We'll find out that that's a nation rising up again, and we praise Allah for giving us that extra strength to do it in that aspect. Long live Moorish America. Peace, love, and love to you all. You love each other. January 15, 1929. A warning from the prophet to be read in every meeting. Everybody inform all citizens they must end all radical, agitated speeches while they work in their homes on the streets. Real for peace and not destruction. Stop blasting your cards to Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your cards for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We have love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice then will take its course. Any citizen or group of citizens holding this feeling toward the government or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down in them by the prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should have turned in their card and button. She's sworn in terror and the feds return to the state where the prophet found you. This is the Holy Divine movement founded by the prophet number Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the government is not right. The prophet, therefore, is turning out to divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the government. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem the people from their sinful ways by order of the prophet number Drew Ali. This divine warning is the supreme laws now, and we will be enforced by the said government hereby. Islam, Islam, Islam. A holy covenant of the Asiatic nation, ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother has given you up, like the bonds of affection. Therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when you separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. Thy brother's anniversary is 15. If I should in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of our Father contribute to support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Islam, Islam, Islam. This meeting is officially closed according to Act 2 of our divine Constitution, and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Long live Moorish Marriage. Peace.
Grand
class. Grand class.
Great class, National Assistant Grand Chief. Grand class.
Islam.
Love
and divinity. They don't get no finer than this.
Great class, Lord.
That's what I'm talking about. It's nation time, Lord. It's nation time.
Islam. We got love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice over here.
As Sheik say, what love got to do with it? Everything.
Everything.
Islam. Peace and love. See y'all in Sunday school tomorrow.
Islam.
That's where Ish working at. Ish. You already know, Grab man. Goodness gracious. Got my kneecap oiled and everything. Islam. Peace and love. We love you, Moors.
Love you.
Goodbye.
We want to give honors to all of our family, and honors to you, Brother Marvin, Nathaniel Bay as well. Honors to the family showing up. You know, always y'all keep tuning in, family. Bay Brothers, Keys, you know, Cena, Renee. We give honors to you, goddess. Barn Dog, Cali Cuz, you know, Janet Wooten Bay. Man, it's just all love, family. Y'all keep coming in here and giving them grand draws, showing love to your Moorish American government, because the best is yet to come. We ain't even got started yet. You know, we got a lot of work to do, and we calling on all of those who know that their condition can be better to uplift in this grand work. We looking for all the talents that you have to offer. Islam. Peace and love.